Check, hey.
At
Check, hey.
Pizza, where I came here and it was delicious.
I am checking the microphone.
Check, hey. Hey, check.
Yeah, I mean, that's what bands do. Everybody just yells and the stuff in my experience.
I don't know about any of that.
Oh, I don't know about anything, so we're good.
Hey,
What's up, everybody?
Hey,
welcome to another episode of the Superscript Book Club. So as you've noticed, we're trying a little bit of a different setup this time. You can't tell, but this, if you were in the store right now, it looks like we're doing a panel interview with Nick because we are facing Nick.
Very
Nick
nervous.
Nick is at their rightful spot behind the register.
It's kind of like our guy in the booth.
Yeah, except that we are just
There is-
dead-eyed staring at the guy in the booth for the duration.
I'm gonna
of it.
turn
People
the
just
other way.
glaring at
So,
Nick.
if at any point the four of us have a difference of opinion on this book with Nick, it's going to feel real adversarial in here.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're experimenting with some stuff. I think if anybody was around, had the all 12 people that saw the test stream last night, we are getting into trying some new stuff, maybe like slightly upping the game on our production for streams, because we're going to start doing stuff across the street at Bottle House at some point in time. We'll have more on that later, but
It's going to be fun.
yeah, but we're gonna try some new stuff, but right now we're just kind of making it work with what we have, which is why we're in this weird panopticon where we're all staring at Nick.
I thought you were also going to mention how you the webcam is painter taped to the
Yeah, there's
tripod.
Yeah, this is the webcam painter held to the tripod with painter's tape is kind of a metaphor
yeah.
for Superscript video production as a whole.
We make it work.
Yeah.
And one of the new things we're trying is that you can watch us right now either on Facebook Live or on YouTube.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you're watching us on YouTube and you're like, wow, I better get over to Facebook or vice versa, that'd be weird, but you could do it.
Yeah, and let us know with all this if how everything seems. Let us know how the
Yeah.
audio is.
We should be able to manage both chats as one.
we're
Might
in
get
the
a little weird
chats.
with the replies. If you are watching from Facebook or YouTube, you may not see who we're replying to necessarily, but we'll make it work.
figure it out.
Also, Nick is the keeper of said combined chat,
Oh,
which the
yeah.
four of us cannot see. So if Nick doesn't tell us you're saying something,
Yeah, if you want
we
to talk
don't
bad
know.
about it,
I'll keep an eye
you
on
can
it.
do it.
Don't do
So I don't even know if we're talking to anybody at all right now.
that. You're at least
I won't-
talking to me.
I'll keep the number of viewers a secret.
Like I said,
I don't,
Nick is just like James McAvoy in Split, where he's creating commenters.
Alan Smith from Facebook says Christine's mic is pretty quiet.
Christine doesn't have a mic.
This is my
There we go.
microphone.
Well,
Yeah.
Joint mics.
we're sharing.
Thank you.
There we go.
All right. So the gang's all here again this week, and we are discussing Rick Remender's Deadly Class.
Oh,
Volume 1.
Josh, take it away.
what a good book. Do you like John Hughes? Do you like Assassins? Do you like coming of age stories? Because this book has all those things. Plus, they talk about Run DMC a lot. That Morrissey shows up, but that's not, whatever. It's a great book. It's, God, I don't even.
The
Listen.
man is fine.
This is a whole other
Use-
podcast. If you want to hear about that, tune into Sonoracy, my Morrissey podcast. But no, Deadly Class is just a perfect like punk rock, violent coming of age story with a surprising amount of heart for a story about a bunch of kids that are literally being raised to kill people. What did you guys think of the book? Have all of you read it before? Is this a reread for anybody?
This was my first read.
Mine as well.
It was a reread for me.
It's a reread for me as well.
So let me ask real quick first to the reread folks. Did you walk away with any like a different perspective this time at all? Did you pick up on anything new that you enjoyed?
Nick, would you like to address the four of us with your thoughts?
Good question. Thank you for the opportunity. I don't know. I don't think so, other than I forgot how much I like Rick Remender's writing.
Yeah.
I think that
definitely
was
agree
the
there.
thing I had forgotten, I guess. And I guess the other thing, because I was reading it the second time in the context of the book club, I had forgotten how good this first volume is on its own. I could totally, like, where this leaves off, I could totally see this just being its own thing.
Sure.
And be a self-contained thing.
Yeah, it's definitely got it's an interesting ending because it does leave a lot of things open, but it doesn't leave them open in such a way where, like you said, if the book ended right there, I don't know that I would feel cheated about the way it ended. What about you, Elliot? Did you pick up on anything different this time around?
Bit of an elephant in the room to address for this one. So, or at least, I don't know, an awkward thing for me to talk about in the context of being one of the owners of this store that wants you to buy comic books. Also, one of the owners of this store who really likes Rick Remender. Not a fan.
I don't think I am either.
Of this book?
Yeah. And I wasn't the first time. I didn't say anything when it got picked because it had been a long time since I had read it, and I'd stayed with it for like a while.
Sure.
And I was really hoping that I was going to have a difference of opinion this time. I don't think it's like unenjoyable.
Sure.
Like, I think the book is enjoyable. And I'm kind of bummed that you agree with me because I was hoping I'd be like, but everybody else loves this book, so you should all come in and buy. I try not to badmouth books. I'd like one of the most important things I think about this store is like, every book on the shelf is probably someone's favorite book. So like, I don't like talking bad about them. Like, especially when we're not talking about stuff that's like genre-defining high art necessarily.
Sure.
When
But this gives us a good opportunity to talk about a book and
Yeah.
give us reasons why maybe we don't like it, but that we can still acknowledge that it's a well-written,
Sure, yeah.
well-produced
and
book.
I will get into why, but I guess I just wanted to preface that since I think this is the first time on the book club that one of us has been like not really into it.
I actually got kind of excited when you were like, not a fan.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
ooh!
think we can have a good
Like, this is
discussion about
fun.
this, but I guess I just like want to implore people watching that like this is not purchasing advice necessarily.
Well, and I
Like,
don't think you never
you
present
should-
your opinions in like a aggressive way either, to where it feels like you're trashing anything ever.
I appreciate that. Christine might disagree with you, but
But yeah, if you at home are enjoying the series, there is more. There are several more volumes.
Oh, yeah.
And so, just because it's maybe not Elliot's favorite book, don't let that stop you from coming and buying it while Elliot's working.
You can buy it when I'm working. It's okay.
just
I won't.
put it to the side and purchase it from Nick at a later date.
Buy it from Elliot,
Yeah.
look him in the
Or
eye, and tell
Christine.
him it's your favorite
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Even if it's not.
That's the spirit.
No one here cares what I think about books. I tell customers like, that's bad. You shouldn't buy that when it's like a Ghost Rider one shot. and that customer bought that book. So, anyways,
So now to the folks who maybe this is their first read.
Yeah, I'm
So
curious.
We know Ryan's opinion. Sort of. But yeah, I also, it wasn't my favorite read, but I will say, it's a well-written book, and I found the story interesting. The part that was hard for me was it was just the grittiness of it was
Yeah.
too harsh for me.
It's a harsh book
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be certain.
Definitely.
So I mean, I watched most of Breaking Bad. I did watch The Boys. I have but I've decided I'm at a point in my life where I don't really want to. It's not fun to sit there and watch that level of grit, and so now that I have planted my flag there, that that is not for me. I feel free to say, like, that was too harsh.
Sure.
I'm a little bit more of a softie, and do not want to. It is not fun to witness people's pain like this.
Sure. And it's interesting too, because like you mentioned, The Boys, and it is a gritty story, but Deadly Class, it's a whole different flavor of gritty too. You know what I mean? Like, there's DC movie gritty, and then there's like real life, very sad, like real gritty, and a lot of it is biographical too, from what I understand. A lot of it is stuff from I can't talk. This is gonna be really fun when we mention this month's contest later.
We're gonna get there.
A lot of it is pulled, from what I understand, from Remender's life, like a lot of the gang elements and the crime and things like that. And it is kind of a time capsule in a lot of ways, and sort of a bit of a diary as well. And I guess that's probably where like kind of the John Hughes like coming of age element comes from, because you have to sort of find a way to. You can't sugarcoat anything in this book, because it's just misery, but you have to give some sort of a flavor to it, and I think that's where that sort of like high school element really plays heavily into it.
So I think that's actually, so my problem is not like the gratuitous violence or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm fine with all that. I don't know. I was raised on Garth Ennis books. And,
Of course, yeah.
I may have some changed feelings about some of that stuff, but it was not the violence wasn't the turnoff for me. Actually, part of it kind of goes to what you just said, Josh, which is like, so reading the foreword and the afterword in the book, like Remender mentions that there's an autobiographical nature to some of this stuff, and I kind of just wish he had written that book. Like,
That's
I kind
fair.
of wish he had written that coming of age story without the like assassin school subplot.
Yeah.
Because this gets at like a larger, like maybe critique of like Western comics as a whole, is just like we should be able to tell more slice of life stories, and they should be able to sell.
Right.
And you should be able to write 12 volumes of something like that, as opposed to having to be like have a pitch that is going to attract the same person who wants to read a Superman story all the time.
Of course.
Which, don't get me wrong, that person's also me, and I think there's a lot more crossover there than comics necessarily give their readership credit for.
I
sometimes.
definitely agree with that.
But yeah, that I think for me is this book's tone is like all over the place.
Yeah.
Because there is this like the story of this boy who has lost his parents and has this revenge fantasy about killing the president. And how long until we get kicked off Facebook because I said killing the president on a stream. But
I'll let you know how it.
right on. And then there's this like, at times it's like Harry Potter-ish in that
Sure.
it is like what if all the parents were dead and there were all these different cliques, and they loosely mirrored cliques you are familiar with from high school stuff.
Right.
Also, really, really ridiculous racial stereotypes.
That also was kind of a problem for me in certain regards. But I know some of it, I don't know. That stuff's difficult to address. But yeah, but I do think I would have liked this book better if it had just been that. I will say the assassin subplot is better developed in the latter trades, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's not much of it here.
No,
which
you
is
get
why-
little sprinklings of it, but this first volume definitely is like a get to know the gang sort of scenario.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I'm ready to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
More than 3 words.
I came to this book too late. I'm too old for this book. I've been here already. I've done this already, and I'm kind of over it. That being said, the art is incredible.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it is a beautiful looking book.
But like, there's
its
things in here
grossness.
that just don't link up to me. They don't make sense to me. And maybe those things are answered later. But I don't know. Like when he goes to this what is it, the deadly arts class.
Yeah.
And the master of the deadly arts tells him, well, you have to find a vagrant and kill him tonight, and he has to be bad, or else you're going to be killed. And what does that have to do with dark arts? And then when they don't go through with that properly, they aren't killed. Like, nobody's...
Yeah, it gets put in the
like
hole.
it gets... Yeah, and then they say that they always break out of the hole and nobody ever notices, and it's...
Yeah.
Wait. My turn on the microphone.
Oh.
We're sharing the microphone, and it's my turn. Yeah. So I thought, why wasn't that vagrant bad? Like, the things that, you know, I think that's the turmoil and of the going to war are. Is there ever good things you do in war?
Well,
Right.
he also didn't do what they accused him of doing. He killed him because he said he was pretty. And he had like a trigger kind of
there was
flashback
it
thing.
hit something, to like a past
And,
abuse, and he
like-
snapped on him.
Like, I don't know. It's... And then, like, we're introduced to this nemesis kind of character, and, like, well, he's bad because he's ugly, but he's also bad because, he has sex with animals, and he's also bad because he's racist, and it's like, well, okay, got it. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, part of the like one of the things that's like kind of dissonant for me about this trade is kind of ties into that dark art stuff where like afterwards they're like, hey, we did our research and it turns out that guy you murdered didn't actually do anything worth being murdered for. No one being like, we gave you real loose criteria on that.
There was no Matrix.
But
There's no spoon.
Also, none of them want to kill anybody, and, like,
Well-
they're supposed to be...
But also, like, at times the school is like, yo, we found out everything about this homeless man living under a bridge in a day. And we observe your every move. But then also, like, people get broke out of detention and taken to Vegas.
Yeah.
And, like, there's at times, like, at times the school seems like an inept faculty in, like, a John Hughes movie. But then
Right.
other times when they need them to, they are, like... the most deadly people on the planet. Nick, say something good about this book.
Yeah, so, I was just about to chime in. So I think, for me, like, everything everyone's saying about the things that don't match up within the story or things that just don't hit for you because, maybe this isn't the book for us at this point in our lives, all makes sense. I guess one of the things I liked about it and that worked for me is it, as a whole, just seemed like this is a fantasy story like a John Hughes movie or like Harry Potter, and that I kind of treated the whole thing with that level of fantasy but I guess that, like, I don't know, almost as if, like, these characters maybe at some point thought this was going to be sweet and this was assassin school and it was going to be awesome, but then, and I don't know because I have not read the other trades, but, like, maybe as it progresses and even as we see in some of this first book, like, they don't want to kill people necessarily, or they realize they have moral problems with killing the guy living under the bridge. So I don't know, I guess for me, I was able to, or I didn't think about the stuff not connecting because I just enjoyed the ride, and it like, there's definitely a lot of dialogue that the main character gives that's, like, very, like, cliche, naive, like, oh, you just want to be another sheep in the, all these normal people. What are you doing with your life? Listen to Morrissey. Which I also just felt was like...
The 80s, man.
Yeah, but I guess I was okay with it because it was just like, well, yeah, that's this stupid kid. He is like a
that
naive
part I agree
kid.
with you with. His internal
Yeah.
monologue, like, is absurd.
Yeah.
And, like, but absurd in the, like, someone found your diary.
I
Right.
was just going to say,
It
straight off
captures
of
that
someone's
character
live
very
journal
well.
Yeah.
type of
But then I guess, when it got to, like, the end of the book, those last, like, 2 pages with the main character kind of recapping
Yeah,
things. That's
those-
where I felt
I
like,
really love
oh, this
that.
is really good. Actually, like there is a good self-reflection of all
Absolutely,
this craziness. So I don't know. I guess I thought it had enough like genuine heart to it.
I agree. Yeah, I think the emotion and the heart are what carries this book through. Like it's not super evident in this first trade, but I think the moments where it is evident, it's pretty powerful stuff. Especially going back to the artwork, Wes Craig is just ridiculous. He does another great book, Gravediggers Union, which is a very left field kind of horror story that he does some really great work into. But like, just his expressions in particular are, some of the scenes are just hard, like can be really just kind of gut wrenching, and even like the sense of motion and like action he delivers is really dynamic, and it's kind of unique in a weird way.
Yeah, the layouts are great. The
Yeah.
color is
The color.
incredible.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
Lee Lufford
this
is
book
ridiculous,
looks
like-
great. If this book would have been like the first 3 issues, if
Yeah.
volume 1 would have been up to the death of the vagrant, and then just like 2 seconds of self-reflection on that, I think that would have been a much more solid
That's fair.
volume 1.
So the Vegas thing was kind of
didn't like
what
the-
you didn't care
yeah,
for.
Well,
but-
because and that's the funny part, is because the Vegas stuff is the stuff I liked more.
Oh, okay.
Because just the I am the acid
Yeah.
king and all that stuff, like
The bunk
Oh my
acid
God.
bit is really good, where he
It's so
buys
good.
he buys bad drugs and is convinced that all the drugs he's going to buy are bad, so he just eats the whole sheet anyways. And
The
a
guy
deadhead
runs.
says "whoa" and then runs away, which is always a bad sign. You don't want to see a deadhead run from drugs, because that
and
means
then
something is wrong.
He's just like, we're going to circus, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be and I knew at that point like we were gonna have something great to look at for the rest of the book.
Yeah, dude.
But-
That acid trip sequence it reminds me so much of those Rob Zombie animations from like the Beavis and Butthead
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I just feel like those 2 things were very, like, one is definitely because of the other, but they're very separate type of instances. So,
Yeah.
like, right now there's nothing here that makes me want to come back to.
That's fair.
And other thing I want to add, just on Elliot's point of like, wishing this book was just Rick Remender's, telling the parts that were plucked from his life more.
Yeah,
without
just having it be more
the,
autobiographical.
yeah, like I would also like that. I guess, for me, I felt like I said, like enough of that come through within this story that I was
Yeah.
like, that was enough to satisfy me, I guess.
And I think Remender is a strong enough writer that I would read that story as like a prose book, even if
Yeah.
he just wrote the story of those misadventures or whatever you want to call it. Like, it would be incredibly compelling, I'm sure, based on.
And I feel like those are the most confidently written parts of this.
Yeah,
Like, you can
absolutely.
kind of like identify them, like, and be like, okay, well, this is where he doesn't have to make any of this up, and so
Right.
he can just kind of focus on the telling of it. Yeah, I mean, a part of it for me also is I feel like so like high school is traumatic for anyone who has ever been through high school. Like, it's
Sure.
just like, it's just a fact of the thing, like, as someone who, not too long ago was like a high school teacher, like, it's still that way. Like, it's as bad as you remember it, kind
Of
of
course.
thing. Like, and you were probably worse than you remember yourself being too. Like,
100%.
and so I think a lot of the things in here is they like exacerbate stuff that is already traumatic
Yeah.
by adding the like teen murder club thing on top of it, where it's just like, what's traumatic? Like having a boyfriend who like feels like they own you and treats you like property and like is abusive to you and anyone else you choose to associate with.
Right.
Like that doesn't need to be there. Like, it doesn't need something else on top. Like having a crappy dad is like
Sure.
a horrible thing in and of itself. Like it's I think some of the stuff, especially towards the end, that they kind of like layer on these like existing teen problems to be like, see, it's bad, is just already kind of like tragic enough that
Agree, yeah.
again, I just like I think there's like there could have been a level of confidence to tell some of those stories, and they're told well.
Yeah.
And then at the end, someone has a katana, and I didn't need it. You know, like it's.
Just give us a gentle ramp up to some of this stuff too.
Josh, tell us about like your first read through of this book, whenever you first read it, and what drew you to it, and can you grab some one of these for me?
Anybody else need a beverage?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take an anticipatory one.
So tell me how you reacted to it when you read it the first time. How did you feel about it?
So when I first got back into comics, Remender's pretty much the reason I got back into comics.
It's a pretty solid reason.
Yeah, Uncanny X-Force.
Yeah.
Somebody told me about. And if you're an X-Men fan, you've never read Uncanny X-Force, it's like Age of Apocalypse level good, I would dare say. Bold statement, but also true. The premise of the first issue is what sold me is Cyclops puts together a team led by Wolverine that's a Black Ops unit, and they're sent to kill. It's the if you saw Hitler as a baby, would you kill him? Except it's Apocalypse, and then you see the end of the first issue. It's not a spoiler because it's the whole premise of the book is you get to see a child Apocalypse literally playing in a playroom. But somebody told me that, and I was like, this is the coolest X-Men story I've ever read. And I think he had, not long after that, this book started, maybe within like a year or so. He had been doing more Image stuff, and this got announced, and all I saw was punk rock high school assassins, and I was like, that's good enough for me. I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching, all, like most of the people in our age group did the John Hughes movies, and in our age range watching, the high school, Can't Hardly Wait, 10 Things I Hate About You, like, and granted this is way, way different, but there's definitely still elements of all those movies in this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
definitely there.
And between just the sense of community in punk rock and like the sense of community I discovered in comic shops, and like it all just kind of was like a perfect storm of like things I could attach myself to and like find meaning in. So
Right, like no matter how broken you are, there is still
there's still someone to like that you can like hitch your star onto. Like you're always gonna find your people, as they say in this book.
There's a very good moment for that of like that actually one of the things I do like about this is where he goes outside and like lights a cigarette in the beginning.
Time to fly the flag.
Yeah, of like, but I mean that was like for, like I quit smoking a while ago, but like that was definitely like me in my less comfortable in my own skin years, especially when I would
100%.
find myself in a new place or whatever, like took up smoking in college because it was like a good way to start a conversation.
I've never smoked in my life, and I took up smoking for 2 weeks to make friends in college, so I completely understand.
It's like
Shout-outs to Camel Turkish Gold.
Not sponsored by the Camel.
Just a fan.
Do I need to put the Surgeon General warning?
Probably.
It's okay to watch this if you're pregnant. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, and you in general, don't smoke.
But
Brought
we
to you
have
by
a-
these four guys.
But that's the one they always pick.
That
Put
is.
on the
Yeah.
the pack.
You
I'm
figure
not
it
pregnant, so it's fine.
at
right?
most, you're, yeah.
Because there's like 4 messages they can pick, and they always pick the pregnant one because that's the smallest.
Seems like these
subset
are
population.
bad for ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These should be good for me then.
These are going to give me muscles.
Well, it goes on my list of mainstream comics that reference straight edge culture, which is, I mean,
Yes.
obviously we're talking about smoking and drinking beers, but that's always like, as growing up in like hardcore bands and stuff like me, that's like a subculture like this like real familiarity with that like doesn't honestly or accurately get depicted a lot of places, so it's
Right.
always like fun to me when I'm like, I recognize that.
Yeah,
that's
your
like
options
of
are
my
usually
tribe.
CM Punk, and
Well,
that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the stuff like that, or like the things like, why there needs to be someone with a katana at the end. It seems like, to some degree, Rick Remender just needs to or wants to have certain elements that convey a style that he wants to.
Yeah.
Like it's
There's always
almost
kind of a vibe.
I'm kind of hesitant to make this comparison, but almost like a Tarantino level of like,
No, I completely
there's
agree.
got to be a kid listening to the Smiths. There's got to be a
I get
cool looking
big
girl
Tarantino
on
and
a
big
on
Kevin
a
Smith vibes.
motorcycle.
2014.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
not
yeah.
long after
More recent than
2012.
you would,
I
yeah.
thought it was
I thought it was a lot earlier.
like
than-
2000s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
But I think there's like a style that comes like first
Yeah,
to some degree,
absolutely.
you know,
It's
and
definitely
then
a hyper-stylized
and then the
book, like,
story
throughout.
like fills in or something.
yeah, I mean, I want to believe that's the reason. There's part of me that feels like it's just like this, like fear that this book would not sell if it
Yeah.
were like in Essex County.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
Which is why stuff like Essex County probably, which is like not the same story at all, but like is a story about growing up and stuff like that. Like,
Sure.
like I gravitate to that more, even though I understand that less because that's about like weird, you know, like problems of rural America that I don't understand, you know, or like don't know, like that I didn't experience, you know, but that book, like, that book would be less of a book if there was like a B plot where they were all ninjas, and I mean, I'm harping on like, I think this is like a way of saying it's like I have one problem with this book, and that I wish it were two separate books.
Right.
Because I think like Assassin School is a cool thing, but I think that's like to your point, Ryan, earlier. You've read that elsewhere,
Yeah.
and I think so have I.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with those stories telling me my pulpy Assassin School story. Even like Umbrella Academy is something
Yeah,
that like
and, I mean,
to not
we're-
the same ends, but you know.
We're longtime comic readers. Like, we read the same stories over and over.
Sure, yeah. It's,
I
I
I
mean,
don't know
it's
what
like
you're talking
hard-
about.
you can boil 99% of stories
Right.
down to the hero's journey.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, everything's a ripoff of everything.
Right.
That's not true. They're all
Agreed.
unique and beautiful, and you should buy each one of them.
But,
Agreed.
Heroes
Hard
Reborn out
agreed.
this week.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. No joke. Secret Wars
There's
coming soon to
Secret. I don't need another Secret Wars.
pardon
2.
me?
Secret Wars 2 too. All right.
Two.
Anyways, the coloring in this book is fantastic. When I mean, I got legitimate laughs out of this book.
Oh,
so when
yeah.
I say I don't like it, like it just
It's just not
still
for
a
you.
really
Yeah.
good book.
the kids on drugs part.
So good. The Mr. T slot machine was funny.
yeah.
The talking crocodile rapper was
Yeah,
very
I was
funny.
gonna. Oh my God, yeah.
You're proper effed now.
that
the,
part.
uh,
The Todd
Hoobity-
McFarlane
hoobity
esque
doobity.
splash page, by the way,
Yeah.
of Willie
And
and
I really liked
Marcus
that scene,
jumping.
too.
Big
because
Todd vibes.
with issue 2, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this book. But then I saw that in issue 3, and I was like, oh wait a minute, that's really fun. This
Yeah.
is really cool. This looks.
And as a fan of this book, Willie and Marcus are as a pair of friends probably the shining star of this book in terms of the storytelling, because they've really got some of the, you know, for those of you who decide to go forward with the book, if you're a fan of those two, they have a really phenomenal arc as classmates and friends as that story builds. What
Yeah,
else?
their relationship was definitely.
You get some good like little sprinklings of it in here. You get that cool moment in the beginning where Willie's the first one that tips Marcus off that he's in the middle of a sting operation. Just run,
Right.
man, just run.
I
And, you know,
thought
and the
the-
chaos ensues. The jumping off jumping across the buildings.
That's some good storytelling too.
yeah.
How they like slowly roll out like that what our main character has done. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like he tells us about his past and we think we know what his past is, and then we realize he's like skipping like a pretty big section.
Right. Yeah. There's some purposely omitted parts, and the weird Garth Ennis-esque character
Yeah.
Totally.
that follows Marcus
I mean,
around.
Man,
that guy.
I
Seems
think
to know quite a bit about it. That's an all-day Garth Ennis
Yeah,
character.
it was
in the
funny.
best
It
way
was-
possible. Don't get me wrong.
It was funny. Christine we were talking about this like a little bit before we got here, and you'd mentioned it was like kind of not for you because of some of the like, you know, kind of over the top
unsavory part.
violence. But like, I've been trying to get like Christine to like read Preacher for a long time.
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
Well, it's like it's like one of those like this was my gateway into comics,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
Of
you know, I
course.
want you to understand it kind of thing. But like also I know that like Garth Ennis is still like when he's at his best is still one of my favorite writers.
Yeah.
But I also know early Garth Ennis like couldn't help himself with some of like the
The gratuitousness of it.
Just, like there's this like
I mean, there's a
thing.
character named Arseface.
Yeah, and then there's that Nick Fury book where there's a character named Fuckface, and he like rides that train until like there are like 4 repeated like characters, themes, and whatever, and like the first 20 Garth Ennis anything.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it's not until he gets into writing like his historical fiction where I think he like learned the restraint to like he knows his best bet is like. Garth Ennis is at his best when he's writing dialogue between 2 people like drinking coffee.
Yes.
But he made his bones being like, this guy's gonna pee on Batman's shoes, and it took him a while to get the confidence to not do that anymore.
And then Frank's gonna shoot a guy's head off with a shotgun.
Yeah.
His entire head.
Yeah.
And he's got that card, and he can pull. He can do it. I think Remender at like this stage is still like. Not,
He's still running Wolverine over with a steamroller.
Yeah, kind of. Like he's still like if you were gonna do the parallel to Garth Ennis, like he just hasn't learned the parts where it's like write the shit you are truly, truly good at, excellent at writing.
I would agree with that. I think
And-
that's a pretty fair
Yeah,
assessment.
You need that element.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I don't.
Reality was the hard, really
Yeah.
hard
Like it
part.
doesn't add anything to the story. It doesn't make that guy scarier in any way.
I thought it.
Oh really?
No.
It just makes it
I
more
don't know.
ridiculous.
I think Wes
that's
Craig's art adds a lot to that for me.
But like faceless man trying to kill children should be scary
That's
enough
scary
on its
enough.
own.
No, I agree.
Why
Like
is
but-
he taking that guy's
it's like
dead
a
body?
weird, it's a weird tonal thing for me again, where I'm like, is this guy like a figure of fun, or is he supposed to be scarier?
Yeah, it definitely
no.
seems like the tone for that character shifts a bit. But the way Wes Craig handles what I'm sure is just an absurd set of pages of script for that character.
I want to know what the
I
script
think
says. for
Wes
the page
Craig
where he's
really
patting
does a
the
lot
bull
of
on
heavy
the back
lifting
where
with
like,
those scenes in
has
terms.
finished making love to Kath.
It was a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a goat.
It's scratched out like forward, like calf, goat, adult.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
But
Yeah.
I do think Wes does a lot of really heavy lifting with making something that's really dumb to read, kind of like low key unsettling and like a little unnerving.
It is not
And it's
low-key
not-
unsettling,
for me, it
it
was
is
just
And I'm
like-
not
unsettling.
saying it's like a good thing.
if you
And
watch
like,
like No Country for Old Men and Josh Brolin in the middle of it just like told people was like, I have sex with chickens, and you were like, why are you telling? I don't know. Like,
fair enough, but like that would also be a way different delivery than what I think Wes Craig is doing with these scenes. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting the way he handles stuff like that, because it could be just very Garth Ennis-y and Dylan, where like it just looks silly and ridiculous.
I think
To me, it
And I
came
mean, I
off
guess
as
it
a little
does.
silly,
Yeah, that's fair.
Until he corners them in the alley at the end of the book.
Yeah.
And then it felt a little more intimidating. But
The fact that he leaves with Chico's body is
is weird.
creepy. And
It's
that
scary,
cat.
Even-
And the
is
stray cat.
scary,
Yeah.
but also like I don't.
But then he picks up
But
like
yeah,
a
I was
dead-
gonna say
a
then he
dead
leaves
rabbit
with the
or
cat.
something.
Yeah, he-
no, a live cat.
He takes
and he
stray
even
cat.
says
It's a live
your
cat.
skin and bones nobody's been feeding you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but
Things are not going to be good for that cat.
Proof
But
that
again,
everybody likes
I
cats. That's
think
all
it-
it is.
it's like
no, you should not like cats like that.
no.
No,
He's just gonna feed them.
that's not.
We need to
what
make
he
that
was.
a new quote, right?
Again, it's
You
like
can't
I
cats like that.
It's true. You can't.
What rule number?
no.
is
You
that?
should not like cats like that. Don't. Um.
And I mean, not to say I
late
love
to add
all
that
the
to the
skin and bone
Superscript
cats out there. I was commenting on the way he was talking about loving.
Yes,
Yes.
it's a different type of
Oh,
love
yeah,
that you should
no.
not love a
You
cat.
don't love cats that way.
No.
No.
Yeah. Again, I think so much of that stuff, like I don't know, maybe,
Sorry, I'm gonna
maybe
do
I
this
just,
again.
maybe I just like
cats like
creepy. No, I don't like cats like that.
That? I'm sorry.
I definitively,
You're gonna have to
I
stop.
definitively do not like cats like that. Not like that.
Sorry, Nick.
Now I have to stop liking cats in any way.
See, look at that. Not everybody liked the book, but we still had a great time.
I'm turning the stream
I,
up.
I had a good time reading the book.
I upon further discussion with you guys, I like parts of the book a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that is what disappoints me.
Yeah.
Is that there are parts
Makes
of the
sense.
book I really don't like,
Yeah.
and I feel like they detract from what I would like. And you know, and sometimes that's just like a fact of like That's what not liking something means, is like, I want this to be all of this one part of this, and
Sure.
it's just not going to be. You know?
So Nick, what were you?
Oh, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm putting the microphone down.
I guess I just like weird, creepy, over the top stuff like that character.
It's just all in your barometer.
Yeah, like it's just like, I don't know. It's like if you're gonna make this like villain, like let's make him as despicable.
put the gas on, just put the gas
let's
on.
go. Like, how despicable can you make him? And again, not to like a Quentin Tarantino level of bring the gimp out now. Like, let's just keep upping the ante. Like, just when you thought he was already a creepy guy, like let's see what else you got. Like, I don't know. And maybe that is a weird thing, and Rick Remender's just like needs to shock you, but I don't know.
It's
it just
part
seems,
of his style for sure. Because look at Scumbag.
Yeah, Scumbag
Scumbag is kind of the same thing.
It's
just
all of
a
that.
bad guy turned up to 11, like placed into her. So
I don't know why
like
it
you said, a Tarantino
it works for
thing.
me. Yeah.
It's
but
just
this is-
he just likes to work sometimes. I think in extremes because he can also go super cerebral. Like he's a really versatile writer. Like Lowe,
He is. That's
Lowe
true.
is a really like complex.
Lowe is
like
so good.
isn't that like almost like isn't there almost like societal like analogs in that? Like
Sure.
it's very like
I think
assembled.
I
and-
think like, I mean, it'd be interesting to like. I'm like half tempted to. I probably will jump back on Deadly Class now that it's back in issues. By the way, Deadly Class
back in
just started
issues.
up again
Yeah.
in issues, which no one knew was going to happen. So, I'm like, because I would say Lowe is like matured, Remender in my opinion. Like that is
I would
that
say
is the
so.
Remender I want him to be this whole book. That it just doesn't feel like he quite is.
Yeah.
So like, it would be interesting to see what he's writing in Deadly Class now. Like I'm not up on the most recent issue. Has anybody here read it?
I have it. I have not read it yet. I'm actually going to go back and I think reread the last couple volumes of the.
That's kind of where I was at. Is like, do I need to catch up on? You know, like,
Yeah.
do I need to like refresh?
because
my
I
memory?
have a pretty good idea of where I left off with everything, but it's always good to have
It's
just kind of a
like,
recap.
It's interesting because there's like a dude wearing a Nirvana shirt on the front of it. which
Yeah,
is
it's
like,
the main character, I
so
think.
time has progressed to the point where Nirvana
now
is
91.
now relevant.
Well, if you figure that first trade's 87, and you're
only
looking
4
at
years,
that's you figure 4 years over the course of what is there? I think 8 Deadly Class trades, 8 or 10, something like that. 8.
I think
6?
it's 9 actually.
Okay, there
weirdly
we go.
enough.
I was in
But,
the ballpark.
yeah.
4.
But yeah, I mean,
Somewhere between
well,
5 and 10.
I mean, maybe, and again, I also haven't read that new issue that came out, but like, because he is writing Scumbag, which is still pretty new,
yeah.
maybe he has split that
Yeah,
into
well,
two. Maybe Scumbag is just
He
all
has
of
found
those.
But that's
a way
like-
to just
that's
work
a-
strictly in extremes.
That's
yeah.
a different kind of discipline. Like I would
Right.
say, I would argue like that is the kind of discipline that like Garth Ennis has found later in life too.
Yeah.
where It's
Sure.
like he can write like
something like
Walk Through Hell and Tankies and Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. I still want it to rhyme too. I still want to.
Yeah.
Marjorie
Finnegan.
Temporal Criminal.
Didn't he do that
Again.
book for TKO as well about the Cold War
Sarah-
sharpshooter?
Oh my God, that book's amazing. Yes, and that I mean like he's
To me, that seems balls out serious.
At
Like,
some
that doesn't seem
at
like
some
it's
point we're
silly
gonna
at all.
have to
Yeah.
do like a Garth Ennis book, and I don't know how
Yeah.
we're gonna do it. Like I feel like we have to like do two at
I
once.
think what we need to do at
Operation
least.
Bullock.
I mean, like part of me like feels like we have to do Welcome Back Frank, but that's
Yeah.
such like a small portion of what I think. Yeah, it's like picking in.
What I think if we're gonna do a two-parter, I think we do one book, but then we do the most ridiculous moments of Garth Ennis clip show,
There
where
we
we
go.
just talk
Yeah.
about our favorite
I mean,
absurd
it
Garth
would be
Ennis
taken
finals.
down off of everything that we would put it on. We're
Real-
just like let's.
That's when we're in store.
Yeah.
When we're able to hold
Yeah.
book club in the store.
We just have a giant projector and it shows faces
Just-
Steve Dillon has drawn, and then we all have to guess what's happening to the person's genitals below.
Or we show their body looking completely normal. We have to guess what happened to their head.
Got a couple things in the chat. Alan Smith says, when we were talking about I don't know the guy's name, but the villain, the creepy face guy, he said,
the Scarface.
Alan Smith
I don't know
agrees.
the exact name of him.
Also thought of Preacher.
Yeah,
And
it's TC and Arseface just rolled
yeah,
into one character.
were there any other? I mean, that Alan is not asking this, but I am asking. Any other like? I mean, we're talking a lot about Garth Ennis. Like, just any other parallels we see from like his style to this book, or
Other than that character, I didn't see too many. I think the working in extremes thing kind of
yeah,
reminds me
I
of
guess
Garth.
that's the main thing.
Like the pop culture and music stuff.
That's
is something
true.
I always associate
Yeah.
with Garth Ennis, where it's like, you
Yeah,
know, he'll-
yeah, that's true.
Like, I
it's
think I
That's
found out.
always the Pogues with
I was gonna say I
Garth
learned
Ennis.
who
That's
the Pogues were
definitely
from
a-
reading Garth Ennis books.
yeah,
so, like,
and as for as stylish as Deadly Class is, yeah, that's like a
Yeah.
big part
Yeah,
of this book,
I
I
think
think.
that was
Maybe a
like
good
Ennis does like
outlet.
this pop culture quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And then we got one thing, just Felix saying, "Hey guys, congrats on an awesome store."
Thank you, Felix.
Just a shout out there.
Felix.
Thanks, Felix.
So, one parallel that you're not going to see coming that I drew
Oh.
was to my mom. So I know, right?
It turns out Christine's mom's in the Yakuza.
Yeah. No.
Mary
So,
Ann.
hi mom.
I don't
No,
know.
my mom is awesome. Don't read this book. So when I was a kid, I was like interested in presidents and wanted to know, oh, who was president when I was born? And she was like, oh, it was President Reagan. And I was like, oh, what was he like? Because I was young and didn't know anything. I'm like, all presidents are good. Yeah.
Right.
So like, what was President Reagan like? And my mom shut that shit down. She
Oh,
was
God.
like, President Reagan kicked all these mentally ill people out of their homes, like
Wow.
that were helping them, and put them on the street, and now they're all the homeless people on
Yeah.
the streets. And I was so sad. I was like a shocked, like 5-year-old or something. Like, oh my god.
Why
but
would he
yeah,
do
was,
that?
That was my first impression of President Reagan. But then seeing it here, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
how
right,
wild
Mom.
is it that
Yeah.
exact reference
Yes.
ties directly into the crux of the main
Yeah,
character
that's
of this
wild.
book?
It's weird because I've been hearing that a lot lately.
that was also like the only thing I knew about Reagan growing up was the homeless thing. But like,
he was the puppet
everything
at
I
the
knew I
end of
learned
the
from
Land
Back
of
to the Future.
Confusion video.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's a great video.
That was all I knew.
I mean, the Iran Contra stuff is like one of those things where you like realize that it happened in like kind of our lifetime, and
Yeah.
no one went to jail really, or not for long enough, and then like
Well, it's a complicated
another guy got elected who was like complicit in some way. shape, or form.
at play there.
Uh,
Maybe not a safe space to judge. Maybe if you were in his shoes, you might do something differently. I don't know.
uncanny
Can I get a
voice,
Nancy,
SNL, Reagan.
Well, mother.
There, so much about my uncles and dad's banter is making more sense now. I remember one
Thank
of
you,
my
Rick
uncles
Remender.
definitely making that voice and not knowing what it was because I was, again, little. And yes,
My favorite was The Simpsons when Homer
Nice.
brings his rapping Ronnie Reagan tape.
I,
And it's just, well.
When I was like 12,
How did this turn into a Ronald Reagan
No,
podcast?
I,
It's okay.
I mean, it's called Reagan.
It is Reagan Youth. Yeah.
which Reagan Youth
Also
a
is a
band I
band.
have seen,
Yeah.
like not with the original singer for obvious reasons, but when I was 12, the Cleveland Institute of Art had like a summer class you could get signed up for that was sequential art and comics drawing or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And it was like open to kids, and
That'd be awesome, thank you.
My parents wanted to send me to go do something, and sign me up for this class, and it was awesome. It was great. We made our own like zine comics and stuff.
Oh, that's
But I was
fantastic.
like a kid, so I was just trying to draw Spawn over.
Of
and
course.
over
Well,
again
yeah.
because
I mean,
was
as you
12.
do.
And
Maybe
I
a
hope
Malibu
I
here and
like.
there.
I would burn that thing if I ever found it. I'm sure my parents have a copy.
No way.
of it.
That
I
probably
would treasure
rules.
it and save it and sell
Christine,
it. Any copies
can you please try and
available
find
at
that?
Superscript.
Can you please try and find that? We'll put it out for free comic book day next year.
No, my parents threw away everything. It'll be fine.
Got
There in the basement, I'm gonna find it.
another prompt in the chat here from Alan Smith.
You're my favorite
when-
Green Lantern, by the way.
When Willie revealed he didn't kill the people that killed his father, I thought, oh, this is cool. We're going to get that depth of character and their feelings on being an assassin for each character in the ensemble. Was a bit disappointed with the direction the second half of the book. Maybe later volumes go there?
There's a lot.
Josh,
I
do
mean,
later
there's a lot
volumes
of
go
good
there?
character. That's kind of the name of the game with this book is character development.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like
Get
the
more of that
characters
background
later
info.
Become fully fleshed out characters.
I,
at least.
I was impressed reading back again after it had been probably a couple years since I'd reread the first volume, but I forgot how quickly they all sort of coalesce as a group through like shared trauma and stuff like that. Like how like Elliot said, there's that moment where like Marcus goes and lights a cigarette and he says, time to wave the freak flag or whatever, and like that was how you kind of identified and found your group or whatever. And it was just, I guess, trauma does that. Like it kind of brings people together in that way. So it is really surprising how quickly those characters all kind of coalesced into sort of a really weird, dysfunctional family that, like, even in really screwed up situations in Vegas where everyone's on acid and cops are dying and there's weird things happening everywhere, like, they're all kind of still sticking up for each other despite the fact that they're supposed to be there to learn how to essentially kill each other.
Yeah.
Dakota, I'm gonna finish the story just because the
sorry.
The cartooning class I went to.
Oh yeah.
It was a bunch of kids, like probably, I think I was probably the youngest, 12, but it was like people that were not like far away from my age range, and one adult who wrote a book called Ronald Reagan and the GOP 3 was his like book that he handed in the class, and it was about a zombie Ronald Reagan who rose dead Republican presidents and was defeated by Jimmy Carter. I think Clinton was president at that time, so
isn't like that almost the first volume of Brian Posehn's Deadpool?
Kind of, sort of. But
incredible.
yeah,
Was it Brian Posehn in that class?
Yeah, did
it
you
was. No.
Was that Jerry Duggan?
But
did you have a
it was
class
just
of Jerry
so weird
Duggan?
because we all had to present our books to like everybody. We had to print copies of our books for everybody else in the class, and this like adult had to like give a bunch of kids like his book that was like a political satire, and we were just like, here's
That's
my
the
almost.
best.
I didn't call him Spawn. I called him Blonde because
Spawn.
like.
So, like,
He's not
thinking back
Spider-Man, he's
now-
Spoder Man.
Thinking back now, how old do you think that adult was? Like
25.
Okay, I was gonna say there's degrees of adulthood. Like if this was a 20-year-old, it would be a different.
It would have.
like
It would have been.
40.
Yeah, I don't like. He wasn't a 40-year-old man. It would have been less weird if he was like. It was like just strange enough to be like. I knew then to be uncomfortable both for him and me.
Right, yeah.
I mean, like 18
you
or
doing,
19
man?
is still an adult, but they're only like 6 years older than you.
You're
so-
right, yeah. Yeah, that's that period where like just a little bit of an age jump,
Yeah.
it makes a massive
Oh, yeah.
difference in the way you look at other people.
This person made reference to their apartment as in one that they like rented by themselves. So yeah, it was.
That is weird.
I mean, they in retrospect they were really like talk to us like peers and stuff.
Yeah.
So like
Can't beat
good
that.
on them.
Their book?
But anyways, just that's my one weird Ronald Reagan comics aside. Unrelated. Thank you for letting me
Oh my
finish.
god.
Wow.
I can't wait to Google that and see if it actually got published at
I had
some
to get it
point.
out
in
because
time.
otherwise it sounded like I just wanted to tell a story about a Spawn comic I drew when I was 12.
Which I would have been
I
okay
thought
with
that's where-
because that's
yeah.
a great comic.
I'm gonna find it. I have
Yes.
not forgotten Superscript, folks.
Look out for next year's Free Comic Book Day, Elliot exclusive Spawn comic book.
Speaking
Spawn.
of off-roading here a little bit, wasn't there? Have we talked about the contest yet?
Oh yeah, so this month's contest, in light of it being, a Rick Remender story, I brought all these Rick Remender recommendations from the Rick Remender recommended reading roster.
Are you gonna be able to do it?
Oh yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm only a beer and a half in. It's
All
okay.
right.
But I brought some of my favorite Rick Remender books to share real quick before I tell you what the promotion is. Black Science is a great one.
Really
Excellent
good one.
Nice.
Excellent book.
It's
Animus.
very dysfunctional. Fantastic Four is my elevator pitch to people for that book.
It's fair. I mean, there's killer plants. Like,
Oh, God, yeah.
I am
There's-
a sucker for like sentient killer plants.
A lot of dimension/time hopping.
Josh, can you move it towards?
Oh yeah,
It
here.
has,
Why don't I?
It has like a darker Venture Bros feel to it.
That's a
Yes.
great
Yeah.
comparison that I've never heard anyone make, and it actually kind of nails it.
Very angular. Like everybody is very
Yes,
angular.
it's who is that's not Matteo Scalera, is it?
I thought you were just talking about
It
the
is, yeah.
physical book
And
was very
there's like a
angular.
There's a,
So this is like
of
made of
corners.
paper.
there is a
Book comes with four
a
corners.
witch.
It's not like the paper in
the
Battlestar
series
Galactica.
Yes.
Is
Octagon.
absolutely
Big like
terrifying.
Baba
to look
Yaga
at.
vibes,
Yeah.
kind of.
I mean, it.
We mentioned
Frightening to
Remender's
look at.
X-Force, and this is the 2 volumes of that. I believe all this stuff is in print, too.
I like not knowing if anybody's watching this because I feel like this has been like our best episode.
Oh, it's been a blast.
Like I feel like not worrying about whether or not.
Now we only pick books that one of us like from now on.
That's right.
Get
And
ready to
the
read
last-
a lot of Uncle Scrooge, guys.
Hey, I love Disney. Augment. The last entry is one that Look, I'm going to tell you the premise of this book, and you're going to think it's the worst thing ever, but I'm going to tell you right now.
I hate that this book exists.
If this book is in print and you can order a copy of it, and you we
can get it for you.
I was going to say, I think it's still in print. But
So good.
So Wolverine's crappy son literally cuts the Punisher into pieces and dumps him in a sewer at the behest of Norman Osborn during Dark Reign, I think. Or possibly whatever happened after Dark Reign.
It's right after
And
Siege. Yep.
Dakin, just to get rid of the pieces, just kicks him down a sewer. The Legion of Monsters finds all the pieces of Frank. So this is like Morbius, Werewolf by Night, I think. A lot of these kind of oddball Marvel horror characters.
And I'll buy anything with those characters.
Yeah,
in it,
Morbius
just so I
is
can see
great.
More of them.
They find all these pieces of Frank
Living Mummy.
Yeah, the living mummy. They decide to repair Frank and turn him into Frankencastle. So he is a hulking Frankenstein's monster that is Frank Castle. He has to take a pill every 12 hours to prevent him from becoming a full-on mindless Frankenstein. And he has valves and guns.
Yeah, and it's excellent, and it has.
And it's phenomenal.
Is that Romana Jr.?
I am so mad.
It's Ramita Jr., it's Remender, it's I think Daniel Acuna. There's a lot of Tony Moore artwork in there.
It's such a bizarre book.
Post Walking Dead.
And
Tony
folks,
Moore.
they all like this,
so
despite
good.
the sounds you hear coming from them.
It's silly.
It's
It's the
actually
best
that they
kind
like
of
it.
silly.
Because when you hear the pitch,
Yeah,
it's
it's
absolutely everything that character isn't.
Right.
But when you read the book, it's one of the best representations of everything that character is that they put out in
Yeah.
years.
If you want to talk about really great writing, the fact that he can pull that off and make like a compelling story out of it,
And what's it called?
it's called Frankencastle.
His first name's Frank.
So
Last name's Castle.
Punisher, Frankencat.
So that leads us to the contest. Now, if you, at the register, buying a Rick Remender comic, can say, I bought a book from the Rick Remender recommended reading roster 50 times in 12 seconds, you get another, and I was going to send another copy of Frankencastle, you get another Rick
That's
Remender
exactly
book.
what you get.
Turns out we have as many copies of Frankencastle as we do Lock and Key. That would
One
be great.
free Rick Remender reading. Rick Remender recommended
I bought a book from
reading
the
roster. 12
I bought a
times
book.
fast.
50 times.
50
50
times in 12 seconds.
There you go.
And then you get a book from said
Rick
a good
Remender
deal.
recommended reading roster.
God, I can't. Rick Remender recommended reading roster.
Recommended reading roster.
Yeah.
Rick Remender recommended reading roster. Rick Remender recommended reading roster.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Offer is only good next Monday.
Yeah, this runs
We're
for
closed on Mondays.
This runs for 7 days.
So Nick, anything from the chat that we've missed while we've been talking about the
Everything else.
No.
in this
Talking
one.
about Ronald
We're all
Reagan.
up. We're all up.
trying the contest right now? Typing
They're all practicing at home. They're practicing saying it aloud.
The Rick Remender recommended reading roster.
recommended reading
Well,
Yeah.
we've got some more.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit more housekeeping to take
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real quick, we should also with the recommended reading roster from Recommender. As we mentioned, Scumbag.
Yeah.
Still going in issues. I really like that book.
It was pretty fun.
I would say if you enjoyed the over the top stuff from Deadly Class, the quick pitch of Scumbag is it's just this terrible. The guy's a scumbag.
He's a
He's the
total
main
a-hole.
character. Yeah, he's just an asshole.
Ooh, I didn't even realize the first
he's-
trade of that was out
Yeah,
already.
first trade is out.
Perfect.
And so he's a scumbag, and he gets he just
Scumbag saves the
wanders
world.
into this time traveling otherworldly save the world plot. Unknowingly. And it's it's better than you might expect, I guess, because it's, in my opinion, Rick Remender doing a thing he does well, which is that over-the-top
Extremes.
stuff. Yeah. This book definitely has some panels that I was like, I cannot believe I'm looking at a comic book that
Right.
this is happening on the page right now, that this scene
Somewhat
is happening.
Topical too. if he wasn't the first writer, he was one of the first writers to do Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Yeah, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like
Uncanny
that.
Avengers
Quite
is
good.
very
Yes,
good.
Uncanny Avengers is almost as good as that X-Men book. It's a shame that Marvel kind of soured Rick Remender on probably working for a major 2 publisher ever again, because the level of like interconnected work he was doing was easily on par with like stuff Hickman does
Yeah.
in like a much neater and like more concise way. Like where Hickman's more of like a long game sprawling guy.
Yeah.
Like Remender played a long game, but it felt
Oh, the X is at 10.
yes,
I
exactly.
just got it.
Spoiler. The X is a 10. But sometimes it's an X. I
But
think, too.
Remender just everything seemed like it tied in beautifully to like other books, but you didn't necessarily even have to read. Like you could read Uncanny X-Force and then read Uncanny Avengers, and you would find these sort of like little threads between them, but you didn't necessarily need one for the other. And I just think that's really impressive. I don't know. Rick Remender's great. Rick Remender rules.
All jokes aside, I totally agree with all that. Everybody should read Low. We have that in trade here.
Yeah,
too.
Lowe's a beautiful book too,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, like that book just looks amazing. Also,
Greg Tokini on the artwork on that one.
Trying to think what other. I feel like there was a time where like I was reading so many Remender books. At
Yeah.
once, but
Tokyo Ghost is another really good one. If you're
Yeah.
if you're a Mad Max fan, Tokyo Ghost is a great time. It's him and Sean Murphy.
So it might be time to announce next month's book.
yes, I believe so. One moment.
He did that Captain America Dimension Z book.
Yes.
too.
Didn't
That
like
was-
that story the first time I read it. Now it's one of my favorite Cap stories.
It's a little. I feel like it.
It
I
feels
would've
very
liked it
Kirby
better
to
in
me.
Trade,
Yeah, it
as
definitely.
opposed to reading it in
It was very jarring in issues to read and see like a year later page.
Get a little closer.
Yeah, I got it queued up on the. I got an image on the screen. Yeah.
Nice.
Little surprise. No, you still grab it. Yeah, you're good.
Still good to
But yeah,
hold it in your hand.
That's
show us
right.
the next.
Tactile.
Boom.
We have On a Sunbeam, which this is our selection for June, which is Pride Month. So we wanted to pick something fitting.
Tilly Walden is the author.
Yes, big old pull quote from Brian K. Vaughan on the
Ooh.
front, so you know it's for real.
That's what you like to see.
Yeah, this book, I have not read this book before. Has anybody read this book?
I've
Not familiar.
I have
no.
not.
started reading
It's-
it today.
I noticed by the thickness, I'm going to start now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
will say,
The
flipping.
panels are big.
Yeah, flipping through it. It's a thick
Oh, it's
book,
a really
but it's
gorgeous presentation.
looks like a lot of
deceptively quicker
Yeah.
than maybe like the spine.
looks like a lot of visual
indicate,
storytelling.
yeah.
Also,
it's
it's
a
a
lot more to look at than to read.
pretty good. I mean, it's only $22, like a pretty good price tag on a
yeah,
on
for
a
a book
fat
that
book
size,
like
that's
that.
really solid. I mean, that's a
I know it's a
compendium-sized book.
sci-fi book, and I've heard nothing but good things. It's been on my list for a little while,
Nice.
and I've heard it's a good selection for Pride Month.
Yeah,
Should
and
be a fun one to get to.
guest on the show next time, I believe Logan Dorado is going to be joining
Oh,
us.
awesome.
Right, Nick? Or is that confirmed? Not confirmed?
Oh,
maybe?
that is not confirmed.
It is
I
now.
guess
You're on
you're
the show,
Logan.
Logan.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Comic
make
book fights, Logan. Let's
yeah,
do
make-
this.
Make it like a yeah. This is like your macho man spot. Like
He
this is
comes
where
in
you
he
like.
comes in a copy of On a Sunbeam, just
challenge.
whizzes
Yeah.
past his head. Let's do this.
Well, either way, we're going to have some different faces on the stream potentially for
Yeah.
June. And we will.
Oh, Alan Smith read this a couple of years ago and really liked it.
Oh, awesome.
Well, that's good to know.
Alan Smith's head of the game
That bodes well.
on a Sunbeam. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah,
anyways,
so I'm looking
that's,
forward to it.
That's the book club.
That's the book club for next week or for next month. Not yeah, you gotta read this by next week.
and
get
this
on it.
was the book club for this month.
Yeah, some other housekeeping stuff. I know some people have been asking about what we're doing for Free Comic Book Day. Tons of awesome stuff. We can't tell you about it now because
super fun.
we're waiting on some things to.
To announce.
Confirmations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have
I will
a
probably be
shirt
there.
for pre-order.
Yes.
That was the other thing. Yes. Thank you, Christine. You want to tell the folks at home all about it? No. Okay. All right. I will tell the
It's
folks
a
at home
new
all about
shirt.
it.
I was setting it. It's your turn to spike.
You
it.
gotta dunk it.
That was the setup, and you're knocking the homer.
Yes,
Different
and
sport.
um,
Doesn't matter.
yeah. So we have a on our website right now. a shirt that is a homage of sorts to all of the weirdness that went
beautiful.
along with opening a comic book store in the middle of a global pandemic. This shirt is pre-order only. You have until the end of June to order it. We will be shipping them or handing them out at Free Comic Book Day, which is August 14th. We are not going to print extras of this shirt so that you can buy it later. That is not the plan. It is for OG customers who have been with us and, new people who have just started finding out about the shop, but it is very much a shirt to thank all of you for the first year and for making sure that this weird, wild dream of ours survived a year in which it was
wacky year.
Yeah, kind of a hard time to open a business, guys.
Yeah.
It was not the easiest thing to do.
Survival was a very touchy word in 2020.
Yeah, opening business is hard normally. During global pandemic, you can extrapolate from there.
For what it's worth, you
But
guys made
all
it look
have
very
made it
easy.
possible. You have kept us
Yeah.
going,
Everybody else did.
And we really appreciate it. So we have had this T-shirt design so that we can all commemorate.
Yeah.
What a weird year it has been.
And it's superscriptohio.com.
Superscriptohio.com.
And
Thank
do not
you
forget to
pre-order.
use the physical
Shannon
green button.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yes, do not forget to use the physical green button. Shannon Sullivan designed the shirt based on some very spotty direction from
And lots of in jokes.
lots of telling Shannon inside jokes that developed over the course of a year. And
Yeah.
And anytime you want to ask about any of them, we're happy to tell you in detail.
yes,
That's right.
even if you don't ask. Anything else anybody wants
else
to
we got
touch
coming
on?
I mean, just other stuff we have coming up. We got the next Warhammer 40K League.
Oh yeah, so
signups are up.
You got a couple weeks, or you have 3 weeks left to sign up for that.
I believe we have one spot open for this weekend's D&D game.
And if we
Okay.
can't-
Saturday, Tower of 1,000 Trials.
Wow.
With Randy.
Way too many
who
trials.
is an excellent
enough.
DM, and
know,
and
man.
it's at 1 p.m. We have one spot open at the table, and this is for players who want to try something new. Someone who wants a maybe you've been planning this level 20 wizard forever, and you want to get out all your big guns and
watch the gears clicking over from comic brain.
Yeah. So that you've wanted to get out of your back pocket, or your multi-classed character that you have been wanting to try out because you made them super awesome, and there was never a time. This is the time. This
And
Saturday
they probably have a
with
crown
Randy
too.
at 1.
Yeah, and if you're not available this Saturday and you want to sign up for any of the
true.
future Dungeons and Dragons sessions with Randy or any of our great
Or
in-store
Ryan.
DMs.
Also
Is
a
there another
DM.
in
This
store?
guy.
There certainly
Not me.
There are 2 other DMs that we have.
He dresses
Yeah.
up and brings a fog machine, folks. It's great.
What?
You didn't tell me
yeah,
about
It's
a
all
fog machine.
He really takes it up.
I got a laser.
If
all
you don't
these
have a fog
voices.
machine, I am now going to get you one. So
I've always wanted one.
Nice.
I have a fog machine.
yes,
Of course you do.
Come on.
Halloween.
For Halloween.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
on that note, I'm trying to think if there's anything else announced. Like, this is me doing. There's more stuff.
No, this is good. Oh,
That's,
summer
um,
sale.
Summer
Oh,
sale.
yeah, summer sale.
Hey.
We haven't. I don't know if we've launched the ad for it yet. Have we?
Not yet.
But we have made
So-
the event.
Yep, you are
There is
the
a summer
second
sale.
people to hear about it. Then, what is the date for
Superscript
the-
summer sale.
Someone else, God help me.
28th and
28th and 9th
Of
of this
May.
month.
Yep.
Saturday or Friday and Saturday
Of this month.
of
Yep.
this month.
28th and 29th.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Store-wide
Last
savings.
weekend, the last Friday and Saturday of May.
Mm-hmm.
The last Friday and Saturday of May, the 28th and 29th of this month,
Of
we
this
will be
month.
having our summer super sale.
Summer sale.
Featuring items from the Rick Remender recommended reading
roster.
roster.
Items will be up to 50% off throughout the store.
Yeah.
They will be marked. and-
Store-wide sale. Also, maybe the last of the live stream raffles.
Yes.
Um,
there will
Yeah.
be a raffle.
You know, I'm not
Can
going to say
eventually
for
do
sure
them
because
start to
knock
do them
on
in
wood.
person, maybe.
And that's not to say that we won't do raffles again. Oh, we will do raffles again. But at some point, they're going to be in-store raffles.
Yeah.
You guys will have to show up here so it can be even weirder and wilder.
That's right.
Yeah.
But there is a special magic to these Superscript live stream raffle that I will miss. And if this looks like it might be the last one,
We can still have beers in person.
yeah, we could still. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll bring it back someday when we don't have
We'll
to.
have
But
a
I feel
way.
like this might be the last time. Who knows? I'm hoping this is the last time.
Yeah.
Knock on wood that we have to do a remote
Sure.
Yeah.
raffle. So maybe we'll
So
do
much
something
alliteration
real dumb
tonight.
for it.
Superscript summer
Well, and
sale,
in the,
remote
in the
raffles.
future too, we may do some
recommended
things
reading rosters.
where we do them in person, but also still have a live stream element to them
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
For the folks at home to
like
watch along.
soon we'll be able to do the book club in person and
Yeah.
still do the live stream.
Yeah, that's
so,
really one of the things. Like
We'll have
the
that.
few upsides to having to learn how to do all of this.
Is now you know how to do all this.
Yeah, and by that, Nick knows how to do all of this, and so does Sean.
by no, I mean it's questionable, but we're
Well,
live.
Yeah,
Fool all
we've
of
so
us,
far
Nick.
never missed an
We
event.
made it here.
You've had
So-
4 people staring
so
at you for an hour and a
Ryan
half.
And Josh, what are you doing on the night of the 29th? Because we have a live stream raffle.
Seems like I'm going to be here.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be here.
I'll be
That's right.
tipping some of these
we
back
know
and
you
giving
bring
stuff
the
away.
flavor.
Oh, all day.
We're gonna have to think of something dumber
We
to
gotta
do
bring
than
chips now.
50 copies of Lock and Key.
And
so
you all-
75 copies of Lock and
Yeah.
Key.
Well,
Hey-o!
It's summer,
Volume
so
three.
think
That's
summer.
right.
Summer's
It's got-
Yes, so
Summer
no volume
giveaway.
2. Can we just order
Two, just
70 volumes of number 3?
No, yeah, just 3. Skip to 3.
Three. You caught that at home. I know. That was for you.
That's
Somebody
right.
caught
And
that.
That means it's time. It is probably time for us to
Yep.
just sign
To
off.
sign off,
Time to hit
we
that
will
physical green
see you
button
folks
and
all
say goodnight.
soon.
thanks for joining us.
Comics are great. Thanks.
Good night.